Let's flame this weirdo, Jeff Nippard.
In half.
All right, folks. It's been a while since we did a video like this, and it's time we get back to it. I realized after watching this video and parts of this video that Jeff Nippard's approach, his scientific approach, is actually ruining his ability and your ability to be intuitive. Not only that, but it's scientific nonsense. He turns science into nonsense. So let's react. Let's go through it. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole thing, but let's get it.
For the last 100 days, I cut all my workouts in half. I wanted to see what would happen if I went from doing my usual 3 to 4 sets per exercise down to just one all-out set, sometimes 2. Would I lose muscle? Well, in this video, I'll break down exactly.
See, this is the thing. We've already started with the BS. You don't lose muscle that quickly. You can't lose muscle. If anything, you would lose a pump. The glycogen, the buildup, the water retention, that would be the one thing that you might lose by training less or not training for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, is you lose the pump. Muscle doesn't go away that quickly. You'd have to starve yourself. That's just how it works.
What I did, what the science says, and what happened to my physique. For as long as I've been training, I've always been a pretty high volume guy. For one, that's the way the bodybuilding greats like Arnold, Ronnie Coleman, and Jay Cutler all trained.
You see, this is what I don't understand. He says that Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they trained high volume, but he shows clips of them training with massive free weights. Like look at this, massive weights. Go back.
And what happened to my physique. For as long as I've been training, I've always been a pretty high volume guy. For one, that's the way the bodybuilding greats like Arnold, Ronnie Coleman, and Jay Cutler all trained. And it's also
when he trains high volume, he doesn't train with free weights. He doesn't train heavy. When he trains high volume, and when he tells you and when people like you train high volume, oftentimes you're training with lower weights. When you do high reps, when you do high sets, you're often going with lower weights. So you're not recruiting the same motor units. You're not getting as much muscle damage. You're getting pumps. You're getting fatigued. You're getting of course, you're going to get a benefit out of it as long as you eat. But it's not the same type of training. And that's the part I'm saying. It ruins your ability to be intuitive because you hear what he says and you see what he shows on screen and you put them together, but that's not what he's doing. These short guys, man.
What the science suggested was most optimal. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. I generally do at least 3 to 4 sets on each and every exercise, every workout. But like I said, for the last 100 days, I flipped that completely. I became the lowest volume guy in the gym. Instead of 3 to 4 sets, I only did 1 or 2 sets per exercise. That's it. For several lifts,
why?
I just do.
Just why though? But why? Why were you in the 3 to 4 sets? Why were you in the 1 to 2 sets? What was the thought process behind that? And not only that, but define a set. Define how much effort you're putting into the set, how many reps, how much volume. And my thing is this, right? Why don't you train based on how you feel? If you feel strong today, why wouldn't you do 8 sets? If you're not feeling great today, do 1 set. Why does he not factor that in? Factor in fatigue. Everything is, when you do this science stuff, you start thinking that your body is like a recipe. Like this is one way to make a cake. This is another way to make a cake. No, it's not the same. Your body is different on a day-to-day basis. You can adjust and change how you train. Man, we're going to get deeper into this. Let's go.
1 all-out max effort set and move on. Oh, man. Now, to get everyone on the same page, when I say volume, I mean the total number of hard working sets that you do for a muscle each week. So if you do a large number of sets, you're doing a high volume program. If you do a small number of sets, you're doing a low volume program.
Isn't there something in the middle, bro? Why wouldn't there by default be something in the middle? And why would you only do high volume or low volume? Why can't you mix in both? Like, I'm telling you, he's ruining your ability to think for yourself. He's ruining his own ability to think for himself because he keeps going by studies, not even acknowledging the fact that studies are always going to have flaws and are always looking to disprove the last study. So this might not even be useful. Mix them both. The truth is always in the middle, you guys. The truth is always gray. It's never black and white.
So let's use our chest as an example. Let's say you hit your chest on 2 days. 3 sets of chest press on Monday and 3 sets of cable flies on Thursday.
Oh my God. See what I'm saying, bro? When he flashed the screen, when he flashed Arnold and Dorian Yates or whoever it was, and these massive guys on the screen, were they doing chest press or chest flies? No. Did they do chest press and chest flies? Sure. But what built them? What built them? Massive free weights, dumbbells and barbells. 3 sets on Monday, 3 sets on Thursday. You can train your chest every other day if you wanted to. You can train your chest 4 days a week, meaning you're going back to back some days. You can also train your chest once a week. You get 3 sets of chest press on Monday, 3 sets of cable flies on Thursday. Bro, you can do that all in one day. You can do that all in one day with intensity, especially if you just add in the right amount of rest. Like, and what about periodization? We're going to get to it.
That's all you do for the week. That means your weekly chest volume is 6 sets per week. And for the last decade or so, the standard science-based guideline for sets per muscle per week was, what do you think? It's about 10 to 20 sets per muscle per week. That's quite a lot.
No, it's only, oh my God. So this is why I needed him to define hard when he said hard sets earlier. Because help me understand, Jeff, what is the difference between 10 and 20 hard sets and 10 to 20 soft sets? You mean I could go into the gym, right? Let's say, me personally, right? My bench max is 265 as of right now. I'm about to test it in a week, so it's probably higher than that. But let's just go with 265 right now, okay? If I do 10 sets of 1 at 135, that's high volume. That's high volume. 20 sets of 1. I could do that. I could do 20 at 135. I could do 20 straight reps. At least I think so. So that's high volume. What good is that in this study? What good would that be? Okay, let's try something heavier, right? 20 sets of 185. Thank you. 20 sets of 185. But it's all 1 rep. I could do that easily. That's not hard. Now, what about 245? I just did 10 sets of 3 at 245 yesterday. Now, that's a lot of volume. That's heavy. That's 90-something% of my current 1 rep max. And guess what? I did it in 1 day. All I had to do was rest between the sets a proper amount of time. And I did it in 1 day. You could do all of these sets in 4 days, 2 days, 1 day. But if you don't factor in how heavy it is, then you're not giving people useful information. How do we define hard, Jeff? How do we limit junk volume?
Example, the low end of the science-based range at 10 sets would look like this. 3 sets of chest press plus 3 sets of cable flies on Monday and 4 sets of push-ups on Thursday. And the high end of the science-based range.
Push-ups, bro. How many? You can do push-ups every single day and it not impact your ability in the gym. You can do push-ups every day. You could wake up and do 50 to 100 push-ups every day, and it's not going to impact your gym performance whatsoever. Especially if you're going to the gym later. Like, it's not going to impact you whatsoever. So for you to put 4 sets of push-ups, how many push-ups, bro? 4 sets of 5 push-ups is garbage. That's nothing. 4 sets of 50 push-ups, that that's something, bro. That's something. Most people can't even do 50 push-ups. How many push-ups? Or maybe weighted push-ups. What kind of push-ups? Wide grip, narrow grip, diamonds. Like, the lack of context is ruining your ability to think for yourself. Like, look at this on the screen. Let's go back real quick.
At 10 sets would look like this. 3 sets of chest press plus 3 sets of cable flies on Monday.
Easy.
And 4 sets of push-ups on Thursday.
That's nothing. You didn't work out on Thursday. You did not work out on Thursday, bro. If all you did was 4 sets of push-ups, you didn't work out on Thursday. That's no volume. That's no volume. Especially on an average person, a set of push-ups is probably 10 to 20. You did 50 to 100 push-ups on Thursday. That's a warm-up. You just got your body moving. Especially for someone like Jeff who's been working out for years and presumably in good shape, especially when it comes to these type of movements. That's not a workout. That's garbage. That's not a workout. Now, if he said I did, 4 sets of 50 push-ups with a plate on my back or something like that, like weighted push-ups or, 4 sets of 30 push-ups, with no rep, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, that's half a workout. That'd be half a workout. I've done a whole bench exercise. I've done 6 sets of bench with rows, some shoulder stuff, some cable flies, and then finish that off with 200 push-ups. Not straight, but still finish that off with 200 push-ups or 55 push-ups with a plate on my back, like a 25 to 45 pound plate. Just at the end of the workout, and then still recovered in a few days. Like you can recover from, especially when you're just talking about high volume sarcoplasmic muscle, just putting a pump into the muscle, pulling blood into the muscle, pulling liquid into the muscle. Man, you can handle a lot. You can handle a lot. And then this, what he calls low end, is effectively not doing anything. And he's realizing he's not losing gains because you don't lose muscle that quickly. Only thing you would lose is a pump. You're not going to lose muscle unless you starve yourself. It's just how it goes. But you're not going to get any stronger. You're just going to pussyfoot around the gym.
And the high end of the science-based range at 20 sets would look like this. 4 sets of chest press and 4 sets of cable flies on Monday. 3 sets of push-ups and 3 sets of pec deck on Wednesday. 3 sets of incline press and 3 sets of dumbbell flies on Friday. That's a lot of chest.
No, it's
and that
not.
Doesn't include warm-up.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. I know we're only 2 minutes in the video. This is going to be a long video or we're going to have to break it up. But I really need you guys to understand this. When he says 3 sets of something, please, Jeff, help me understand what that means. Because you guys need to realize, right? Let's say I do 3 sets of 10, okay? Listen closely, right? 3 sets of 10. Let's take my 10 rep max, okay? 3 sets of 10 at my 10 rep max. The first set, no problem. No problem. You're going to feel good. The second set, no problem. You might get tired at like the 7th, 8th rep, 9th rep, 10th rep might be a grinder. But you got that. Now the third set, with proper rest, probably the same thing. Not to the 7th, 8th, 9th rep, you really feel it. But again, that last set, that's when you're going to start to feel the grind. 3 sets, in and out, done. Now flip that. Do 10 sets of 3 with your 3 rep max. Like I did yesterday. First set, the third one is a grinder. Maybe. And then the second set, you're like, all right, I'm feeling good. I got through that. Third set, all right, now it's getting hard. 4th set, hard. 5th set, hard. 6th set, you might be close to failure because you have to keep coming back and doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. But guess what? That's the same amount of reps. 3 sets of 10, 10 sets of 3, same amount of reps. One of them is dramatically more difficult. Why? Because it's heavier. You have to recruit more units. You have to get your CNS firing at a higher level. You have to rest more to do a 10 by 3 with your 3 rep max than a 3 by 10 with your 10 rep max. So you can't just be like, oh, 3 sets, that's difficult. Nah, it really isn't. Tell me how many reps. Tell me what you're really doing. Even a 3 by 3, like it could be 3 sets with my 3 rep max. That's not hard. He's giving you no context at all.
Sets. These are all hard working sets all the way to failure or very close to it. And of course,
but if you're doing,
that's just for one.
I can't with this guy. all the way to failure or very close to it. Define it though. Define it. How heavy are you going? What's your percentages of your 1 rep max? That's what we want to know. When you say 3 sets and there are 3 hard sets, apparently he's not even factoring in his warm-ups. So really, he's probably doing 5 sets just like he was before. Like, he's probably still doing 4, 5, 6 sets because he's warming up. How heavy are your heavy sets?
Muscle. For your total body volume, you need to add up all the sets for all your other muscles too. Those are some long workouts. Trust me.
Bro, look at all these machines, bro. Look at all these machines. Look at all this shit.
And of course, that's just for one muscle. For your total body volume, you need to add up all the sets for all your other muscles too. Those are some long...
Look at this. The lever is taking weight off. Look at how many plates he has to put on to make this make sense. It looks good, sure, but the lever is taking so much of the effort out of this. He could have just put a couple plates on some farmer's handles and shrugged these shits, and he would have also had to balance them, which would have also engaged his traps and his core. Instead, he's got the machine doing half the work for him, so he's got to put 50 plates on it just to make it make sense. Like, I got a friend who was doing a shoulder press machine. He was like, yo, I shoulder pressed 350 or something like that. I'm like, what, bro? No, you didn't. What are you talking about? You can't even OHP a plate. You can't even barbell overhead press a plate. You didn't shoulder press 350. So I went to the gym. I have a gym membership at that same gym. I sat on the machine. I'm like, that's why it's the goddamn machine. There's no way for you to contextualize how much weight you actually lift. Because you're using these machines, which is doing so much of the work for you. You got to put 50,000 plates on it just to make it difficult. So you think you're stronger than you really are. And you in this whole process, you don't even know how to recruit your work, make your body work together as a unit, which is how it always moves. You don't isolate muscles in the real world. This is garbage. Like, bro, if you want to shrug, either use handles, use dumbbells, or use a barbell and just barbell shrug. Or use a trap bar shrug. It'll stabilize for you. Like, I don't understand this nonsense with the... And he's using straps. I just realized he's using straps, bro. I'm so upset, bro. I'm so upset he's using straps. Like, there's nothing wrong with straps, but you're on a machine, bro. If you're using straps with a barbell, I get it, but you're on a machine, bro. This is garbage.
Workouts. Trust me, I trained like this for years, but not anymore. This is what my full week of chest training looks like now. 2 sets of incline press and 2 sets of pec deck on Monday, 2 sets of machine chest press on Thursday.
So he's effectively just warming up.
6 sets per week. Let's use that.
Like before, I don't know if I don't know if this right here, the high end, includes his warm up.
This is what my full week of chest training looks like now. 2 sets of incline press and 2 sets of pec deck on Monday, 2 sets of machine chest press on Thursday. That's it. 6 sets per week. Let's use this graph to compare how my current volumes look compared to the standard science-based volumes. This is what the high end of the science range looks like, and this is what the low end of the science range looks like. And this is what I'm doing right now. So it's pretty freaking low across the board. Most of my muscles get 6 sets per week. Some get...
But, okay, again, because he's not factoring in reps, he's effectively not giving you any information at all. Because if I take 1 set max reps, I might do 50 reps. Versus if I do 4 sets of 12, that's 48 reps. It's the same shit, bro. But one of them is more volume than the other because he's only factoring in the sets and not the reps. Or flip that, right? Sometimes I don't really like to do accessory work. Not that I don't think it's beneficial, it's just boring, right? For my mental, it gets boring. So when I do accessory work, like cable flies, cable extensions, lateral raises, like oftentimes I will do those with max reps. Just so I don't have to count, I just max reps, right? So I'll do 3 sets of max reps. So on here, that's low volume, but it's max reps. I might do 40 reps, 50 reps. So that workout, I got 100 reps, 150 reps in. But that's low volume? Explain that to me, please. Explain that to me. How is that low volume? It's not. Because when you see this on here, 4 sets, 3 sets per week or whatever it is, he's talking 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 8. But he's not telling you that.
4 sets per week, and a few are in the 8 to 10 range. My shoulders get 10 sets, my back gets 9.
And one other thing too, I'm sorry, I keep pausing this, but when he says failure, this is the thing, right? I did, again, yesterday, I did 10 sets of 3 at 92% of my 1 rep max on the bench. I failed on, I was within 1 rep of failure on the first set. The first set, I was 1 rep away from failure. I did not have another rep in me. So should I stop there, Jeff? Is that failure? No, I waited 5 minutes, came back and did it again. Waited 5 minutes, came back and did it again. Waited 5 minutes, came back and did it again. Then I failed on the 3rd rep. Waited 5 minutes, came back and did it again. Hit two reps. Waited 5 minutes, came back and do it again. Hit 3 reps again. How is this possible? So when you say you're at failure, that doesn't mean you can't rest and come back and do it again and get even more benefit out of it. Even more damage. Even more mental, building up your mental because you realize you can handle more than you thought you could. Opening doors for you, unlocking things, making yourself proud, enjoying yourself. Like this whole failure thing, it's just so much of this lacks context.
My glutes get 9 and my quads get 8. On average, I'm only doing about 6.5 sets per muscle per week. And for the 100-day experiment, I split that.
My glutes get 8. My chest gets 10. My shoulders get 9. Like, bro, he's not talking about his body like it's a body. He talks about his body like a fucking recipe. He's like, oh, okay, you add 8 tablespoons of sugar, 2.5 tablespoons of baking powder, one scoop of turmeric. Like, that's how he talks about his body. Like it's like he's baking a cake. That's not how your body works. And he's not talking about food either, which is the real way that you recover from all this. That's where you really build muscle, is when you eat. That's why low volume can work, because you have to eat more protein than you're breaking down. You have to digest and build up more protein than you're breaking down. So obviously, when you go low volume, it's still going to work, especially if you're intense about it. Obviously.
Volume up like this. Upper, lower, rest. Upper, lower, arms, rest. And I repeated.
You know what's funny about that? Isn't arms in your upper body? All right, I jest. No, arms isn't your upper body, though. Like arms and delts, that's your upper body, bro. So it's an upper, lower, upper. Like, and then when you start getting specific, okay, what do you mean about upper in your first day? Oh, I'm going to do chest and back. Okay, what do you mean lower in the first day? Oh, I'm going to do glutes and quads. Oh, so effectively you're doing a bro split, bro. Like it all comes back to the same. Or I'm doing upper push on the first day, lower push on the second day, upper pull on the second day. Oh, so it's still a push-pull legs effectively? Like, bro, I can't with these guys.
A split for 14 weeks. The thing is, on paper, by following this plan, I was training at a level of volume that most experts would say is too low to maximize muscle growth. For the past 15 years,
pretending to be intense on a leg extension. Like if you did I want to ask you guys something. What do you think is more beneficial? If you went all out, gave it balls to wall, everything you got on a leg extension, right? What's going to be hurting the next day? Your quads. Or not, I wouldn't say hurting, but what's going to be sore the next day? Your quads. If you went all out, balls to wall on a back squat or front squat, what's going to be sore? Your quads and your glutes and parts of your back, your low back. Depending on the type of squat you did, maybe your upper back. You get what I'm saying? Like, more recruitment. These goddamn machines.
Research has been hammering the same message. Volume is king. Back in 2010, James Krieger published a meta-analysis of 8 studies comparing 1 set versus 2 to 3 sets per exercise.
And
what he found was clear.
1 set of
Doing
what?
more sets caused more gains. 2 to 3 sets per exercise was about 40% more effective than just doing 1 set. And over the next 6 years, at least another 7 studies on volume and hypertrophy were published. So in 2016, Krieger and colleagues dropped another meta-analysis. This time, rather than sets per exercise, they looked at sets per muscle per week. And they found a clear dose-response effect.
I'm trying to look at this on the screen real quick, see if he actually lets us read it. 1 to 5 sets, 5 to 9 sets, 10 sets. What about 8 sets? Like, what about just 8? Is 8 good? Like, why is it 5 to 9? Like, that's a big swing. 1 to 5, that's a big swing. Why not 1 to 3? there's so many flaws in these studies, and they often are used on newer, untrained people, which means pretty much anything is going to work. And then they don't factor in diet, which is a huge missing piece. How you eat is important. If you're eating all carbs versus all protein, like this is really important. If you do or don't drink water.
Once again, more volume meant more gains. By this point, volume had pretty much cemented itself as the main driver of hypertrophy within the science-based community. I was even singing its praises.
No.
Training volume, this has been cited as being the main driver of hypertrophy, but
that
were we
doesn't
all
make any
kind of...
Bro, you don't hypertrophy in the gym. You hypertrophy when you eat. When you're in the gym, you're just breaking down muscle. When you eat is when you build muscle. The more you break down your muscle, doesn't matter if you don't eat. Now, if you keep going back in the gym over and over and over again, especially doing high volume, what's going to happen is you're going to get a long-lasting pump. Your muscles are going to stay filled with glycogen. So it's going to look like you have bigger muscles, but you might not. Because you don't go to the gym for a week and you lose the pump, you're back to the same size. Especially if you don't factor in eating more protein. So you might not even really get much stronger. You might get better at the lift. You might get more skilled at the lift and therefore be better at recruiting the motor units to repeat the lift. That's different than being stronger. And it's still useful. But at the end of the day, it's like there's so much missing context to this stuff. So much missing context.
Wrong? Well, last year, Pelland and colleagues dropped the biggest, most detailed meta-analysis on training volume that's ever been published by far. Now, we're up from 15 to, get this, 35 studies on training volume for muscle growth. And this time, they found another super clear dose-response relationship between volume and hypertrophy. More volume, more gains. And that trend held.
What is gains? Is just muscle size gain? Or what about strength gains? And how long does the gains last? And how much did these people eat in order to keep their gains? How much did they have to go back to the gym? Did they have to go back to the gym all the time to keep that gain? Like, define gains. I'm going to leave it here. But again, we'll come back to this. We'll do a part 2 if you guys want. Again, there's so much missing context. There's so much lack of definition from quote unquote science. Does not define hard, does not define gains, does not define a set. But yet you're supposed to watch this video and know exactly what to do. And he's claiming that something's working for him when he's not factoring in the point that anything would work for him at this point because he's already built his muscle. He's already built his muscle. The only thing he can do is stop eating and lose it all. The only thing he can do is lose a pump at this point, at most. Man, these short guys, man. I'm going to make a video at some point about the problem with short guys who get buff. Listen, I don't have any ill will, but it's just like when you're a certain height, right? When you've never looked down on a man, when you've never even looked down on a woman, you start to there's something that changes in your psyche. I can tell. And you start having to prove yourself. These guys got to prove themselves so badly. I'll see y'all next time.